Hi. Hey.
Hey, you're new
Hello.
around here. Where you from? Turlock. Turlock. You know a guy named Frank Bartlett?
It's Sunny, and this is another special movie essay on another teen classic I adore so much that, though I haven't watched it in a hot ass minute, it is one I remember fondly and love even more so having a rewatch that deserves to be celebrated for how well it holds up in teen media status. A true classic named
Clock rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock.
Without further ado, let's uncover the realness of American Graffiti and how it holds up today as a coming-of-age masterpiece. Back in the lab. During production of 1971's Thanks, or THX 1138, producer Francis Ford Coppola, yes, the Godfather guy, challenged co-writer, director, and let me state this loud and clear, George Lucas. Yes, for those who don't know, he's the guy who created Star Wars, and this film was before, well, that other thing. It's really fun how cool cinema history can be. Anywho, back on track. He challenged Lucas to write a script that would appeal to mainstream audiences, and he took him head on, deciding to craft a story representing his 1960s teenage experiences cruising around Modesto, California. When writing the script, it was also set up as sort of a semi-autobiography, as the characters of Kurt, John, and Toad represented stages of his younger life. Kurt representing his personality during USC, a college, Milner of his street racing persona, and Toad as his high school freshman nerdy side. The release of Thanks, I'm just going to call it Thanks, and its financial failure inspired him for Graffiti, as that film represents real depressing problems we face every day, and how Graffiti was to be a film representing how everything can be futile. Lucas went ahead and tried to create the film, working alongside screenwriters Willard Huyck, sorry I gotta say it like that, and Gloria Katz, who added more material to the story. They began pitching the film around to dozens of film studios and were unsuccessful due to the necessity of licensed music, most likely to go over budget, as this was one of the earliest films to remove an original score and use only licensed songs. While being offered to direct other films, Lucas was determined to his own work, even writing a certain space movie, and Thanks was just selected for a film festival competition, which led him to meeting David Picker, president of United Artists, and got the film picked up with a budget to turn it into a full screenplay. After some schedule troubles and hiring colleague Richard Walter to help finish the script, only to fire him when it was written as a sexual exploitation film. After selecting songs he wanted for the film, eventually United Artists dropped the film. After playing around with ideas for the script, Lucas got lucky as Universal Pictures agreed to the film, with full creative control if it was on a low budget, and thus they finally finalized all their ideas and finished the script, commencing production, and thus releasing the film, finally as intended, thus creating American Graffiti. Man, George Lucas should have done some more like non-science fiction films, man. No shade to Star Wars. I love that universe to death. But man, Lucas is just a talented filmmaker, especially for this time. I mean, this film is just a vibe, man. And y'all know just how damn much I love a vibe. Man, shit, I'm all about the vibe. Go check out my other channel. And yeah, this film on revisit honestly has the exact same aesthetic I adore from Taxi Driver, where both these films know how to capture real life in such distinct way. Although Taxi Driver captured it as dreamy and lucid, whilst here it feels adventurous and like a big party on every single block we drive down in this film, with how colorful and crowded this film is. I mean, all the sets, locales, streets, buildings, costumes, cars, extras, just every single detail in this film just really makes this a time capsule of nighttime 60s high school adventures, and it feels so damn great. We were all a part of this when you watch it. Another core element I also love to death is both the licensed music, yet a detail I really adore is the utilization of the Wolfman radio station. The way the radio is utilized constantly throughout to replace the music sometimes, and simply serves as an atmospheric tool is downright brilliant and really aiding its vision to not only make us see the 60s times, yet become a part of it. Plus, the licensed music, though generally great, since I know most of these songs, is also how specifically chosen they are in adding the right mood to each scene, whether for scenery or visual purposes. The editing itself is also just great. The way the film manages to perfectly progress its many separate arcs into a cohesive flow and cutting back and forth one after the other, almost like this is a feature-length series finale to a TV series, is wonderful and captivating, especially with how each transition complements each other and seeing the characters' progression in their storylines. Though the film is 2 hours, and I'll admit, watching it you can feel the runtime, you never want the film to end due to its core hook of the incredible. Now, American Graffiti has an interesting scenario when it comes to its characters. In my eyes, rewatching this film, this is kind of the reversal Breakfast Club in its situation, with how this cast of characters all follow archetypes, yet have an established bond to them rather than the natural build-up to it that Breakfast Club did. The class president, Mrs. Class President, tough guy, nerd, and clumsy guy are all already friends and generally share a friend group dynamic that I think is cool for its time. As always, let's go individually. First off, we have a lot of side characters in this film, like so many, and they all greatly add to the vibe of the film, making this feel like a genuine crowded town. We never see the same faces repeatedly, and they have their own distinct trait that makes them stand out. Whether it be the tough guy Pharaohs, the random ass car dealer, the incredibly well built up Wolfman, or any of the other kids we see in this film. It's great. Now for our main cast. Terry. Terry is probably the simplest character of the film. Though generally all the characters are, he has a simple arc that is nicely portrayed, with him being lended Steve's sweet ass car and having a opportunity on his hands to finally prove himself and be accepted by his fellow peers who mock him, only for it not to work. With their sheer confidence and the right kind of person, he manages to spend the night with Debbie, a sweet young girl who knows what she wants and likes Terry's caring attitude. Sure, he's not a tough guy or the best at being social, yet he has a heart and is quite intelligent, which attracts her, and though Terry is still seen as a dork, Debbie and his friends love him for who he is, and what seems to be a bad night ends up being a great night of adventure for him and Debbie. Milner. Milner is obviously probably my favorite character. Obviously. Yet, I really love how they shook up the whole tough guy persona with his storyline. He's the most respected guy in the joint, having the fastest car and always being unbeatable in races, and likes to mingle with the ladies. Yet not only is there another punk played by Han Solo! Well, I don't know how he's going to be Han Solo, man. Like, that's the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy. It's the ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs, you know? Anywho, not only is he opposed, yet he ends up getting stuck with Carol, who at first they both bicker and argue since Milner is stuck babysitting, until over the course of the night, being forced into this situation, they end up having fun and growing a genuine bond, giving her the nighttime adventure she's always wanted, and thus revealing Milner has a sweet spot to him. Lori and Steve. I think it's just right to combine the only romance in this film and put these two together since their story is tied. Both the popular duo of their school, Lori being a junior and Steve being a graduate, though they have their young romance, Steve is still going away for college and desires to still be with Lori, yet seek other romantic interests, with Lori understandably being upset, leading them to be in a full-on relationship-defining bicker, having their fights, having their closeness, and their frustrations and sorrow coming out. After Steve realizes he doesn't want to lose Lori, and Lori feeling the exact same, they both decide to be loyal and stick together, showing how though young romance tends to 9 times out of 10 never last, it's hard to break up on good terms. Kurt. Then we have our essentially main protagonist, Kurt, who is our ordinary, dedicated, and clumsy kid, spending all his years telling everybody he's going to go to college and move away from town, yet once witnessing...
I just saw a vision. I saw a goddess.
Yep, pretty much. And having this desire to stay in town, only to get himself into some shenanigans, trying his best to locate the woman of his dreams, from aiding a gang, catching up with old friends, and even meeting the Wolfman. He never manages to properly meet her. And the reason why is because of the overarching narrative of this film is pretty simple, yet still manages to hit home in the feels as us not watching, but experiencing this one final hoorah of a night with characters that we so quickly get attached to, It almost as if this is the series finale to a great show, and seeing all the adventures they get themselves into. By the conclusion, Kurt leaving really showcases the meaning of this film. Moving on. I mean, I only graduated high school a couple of months ago, and although I'm still in contact with my close friends, it's not the same anymore, you know? All the drama, the struggles, yet also the fun and excitement of enduring it with your friends inside and out. And this idea of choosing to stay or move on with your life is really represented across all the characters. Steve's desire to move on, yet Lori being the reason that holds him back due to their strong connection. Terry wanting to be recognized, and though he fails, is comforted by his gowned friends, and thus becomes happy, for he only requires his own and their validation. Milner wanting to just have fun and keep his reputation up, and though he wins the race at the end, is panicking at how he was almost defeated, showcasing that eventually our legacy will be undone. And Kurt's desire to move on, only to be held back by a certain beauty, and only until the very last closing minutes to realize she didn't exist. A representation of his inner desire to keep with the status quo, and not leave everybody behind, and yet knowing that it's what needs to be done, not just cause, but because it's what he needs. It's tough to move on. That doesn't mean we can't hold on to the good memories that define who we are as we move on to the next chapter. What do you think of American Graffiti? I generally love this film, and if you're still in high school or going to somewhere someday, I hope you check out this film. Though some of the humor and societal nature can be a tad outdated, it doesn't ruin the overall fun and emotional sense this film has, and greatly serves as a time capsule as to the early 60s high school lifestyle, and thus makes this a timeless masterpiece that all generations can adore, while still remaining generation defining. There's nothing wrong with moving on. It's a part of life and is inevitable. Your life is only in your hands, and it's to you what you make of it. But don't lose the people and memories that make you, you in the process. It's been Sunny, and so long, farewell, and goodbye.
It's about a lead character who is put into a situation where they have to make a decision to leave. They're all about that transitional time in a person's life when you have to make a very major change. And how do you become brave enough to take one step beyond and go into something that you're not really that experienced at?
We're finally getting out of this turkey town, and now you want to crawl back into your cell, right? You just can't stay 17 forever.
You know, it doesn't make sense to leave home to look for home.
There's a great, big, beautiful world out there.